All right, family, listen, welcome back to SoFlo TV. No talking outside of this. Let's get right into the topic because there's a lot to cover right now. If you've never been here before to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on SoFlo TV. And don't forget to check out our other channel on YouTube that's called Brain Flow TV. That's BRAINFLO TV, where we do more of these types of content than we do Jamaican Caribbean stuff over there. I'll see you there. In the meantime, though, let's get into this. So, the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial has started, and man, has it started. It has started with a boom and a bang. Let's get into some of the information. I'll tell you this before we even get started. I saw Cassie's husband walk out of court yesterday, and that man was mad as hell. He was mad as hell because when you're in a relationship and you say to your partner, you don't need to know about my past. Well, this is one of them situations where he went into that courtroom and a lot was exposed. And I'm pretty sure they didn't have this conversation where the wife told her husband, listen, I did a lot of things. You know what I mean? She's probably over there saying, baby, I was so drunk and high, I don't even remember what was happening to me. Because it seems like that's the angle that Cassie is taking in all of this. A woe is me. I was not complicit for all those years. He kept me drugged up and just dragged me everywhere he went for 10 years. And I don't really know what happened. So they were doing things to me that I can't remember. That seems to be what Cassie is leaning towards. Now let's get into some of the information because two people testified yesterday, first day of trial against Diddy. One of them says that the hotel worker, a hotel security guard, testified that Diddy assaulted Cassie and they then played the footage in court. So they start off playing the footage from day one. I could imagine the jury members are like, damn, now we get to watch the footage and look at him. Because everybody has seen the footage so far because it was all over national television. But now in a courtroom setting where they are going to be deciding his fate, the prosecution starts off with that footage and the questioning of a security guard who used to be a security guard back then at the hotel where it went down between Cassie and Diddy. So, Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial began last week with jury selection, and both sides were present in court today, which was yesterday, May 12th. Today is the 13th for opening statements. It is moving fast. Prosecutors called a witness to the stand, the LAPD officer Israel Flores. Israel Flores is now a LAPD officer. He done stepped up in life. Back then, he was a security guard, a hotel security guard, and now he is a LAPD officer. So they called him to the stand to give his statement about what he saw or witnessed that went down that day. Last May, CNN had released the footage. The footage is from 2016. We're seeing it in 2025. And it was Diddy assaulting his back then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in that hotel. The hotel don't even exist anymore. Flores, the officer who was once the security guard, he was the guard that was on duty that day when the event occurred, which took place in the Intercontinental Los Angeles Hotel in March of 2016. According to the video and timing of it, it says it happened around 11 a.m. It's approaching midday. They up there fighting in the hotel. He testified that Sean Diddy Combs was there and Cassie was there. He said that Cassie Ventura looked scared and that Diddy gave him some money to keep the incident a secret. She was scared, Flores said in court. She was in a corner. She had a hood on over her head, almost over her face, covered up. And I couldn't really see her face. She was pretty much in the corner. On the floor was a destroyed flower vase. I started to leave and Combs called for me. He had a sack of money and he threw it at me. and said, "Don't tell anyone." He added that Diddy attempted to take the phones of the other security guards at the hotel, and when the Bad Boy Records founder attempted to take his phone, he said he pinned Diddy to the wall and he tried to de escalate the situation. "You ain't taking my phone, bro, but chill out." Remember, Diddy was high and drunk out his ass, right? So he ain't putting up much of a fight. Now, also, the way how he threw that sack of money at him was very arrogant. It's as if I can do shit and then buy my way out of it. So he throws the sack of money at him and say, "Hey, don't tell anyone." The March 2016 hotel surveillance video was submitted as evidence. Prosecutors played 5 clips on the screen in court, and Flores, the now police officer who was once the hotel security guard back then, he was asked to describe what was happening in those clips that they were playing in the courtroom. Combs comes up behind her in a towel and slams her in the head and then drags her to the floor and then starts to drag her back to the room, is what he said. Flores said he took the videos on his cell phone that day also during the event because he actually wanted to go home and show the video to his wife. And he felt that he would need some evidence because if he told his wife that, she wouldn't believe him. "Yo, Sean P. Diddy Combs and Cassie were fighting in the hotel today and he whooped her ass." And his wife would have said, "Yeah, right." So he took video of that video with his phone. One of his videos shows him motioning to Cassie to go into the room, and another video includes him picking up a phone and discussing the incident with his supervisor. The former guard turned police officer said he ultimately did not get authorities involved because, get this, Cassie wanted to leave and no one wanted to press charges. Diddy wasn't screaming abuse. "She hit me, I hit her back." Cassie wasn't screaming, "He's beating me, I'm going to tell the police." Nobody. They both did not want this to go out mutually. Cassie just wanted to leave, and she left. But she also returned on her own and was advised to leave again and just give it some time to let it blow over. Diddy is currently facing 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Got to remember something. His attorneys are saying that Diddy, he is all this stuff that they're bringing up. Cassie was not a hooker. She was not somebody he transported for sex. This was a dysfunctional relationship between 2 dysfunctional people. They were both on drugs. They were both into the high life. They were both snorting coke and smoking weed and mixing with alcohol and carrying on. And, the relationship was dysfunctional on both ends. But to paint it as sex trafficking, racketeering, coercion, and all this is a far reach. So Diddy was arrested in New York City, September 16th of 2024, and ever since then he has been held at the MDC Brooklyn without bail. Prosecutors' opening remarks in this case alleged that Diddy used his money and his power and his fame to facilitate 2 decades of sexually abusive freak-offs with countless victims. The defense plans to argue that Diddy's sexual partners participate during these events willingly. Diddy did not kidnap anybody and bring them to the events. They know what the events were about. Many of them were returnees who looked forward to going to these events. They would seek out when was the next one. And these were high-profile events with exclusive, very exclusive membership type deals. Diddy has consistently and vehemently denied the allegations that are being made against him. And that is how it started out. Now, man, listen, the part where I said earlier that we saw Cassie's husband walk out of the courtroom and he looked angry as hell. Could you imagine, you've been married to your wife for a couple of years, and you get into stuff, you get a little freaky in the bedroom, you ask your wife stuff like, hey, have you ever tried this? You want us to try that? And she's like, hell no, I wouldn't try that. I've never tried that. And then you're in court watching somebody pissing in your wife's mouth and her sitting there willingly with her mouth wide open while somebody piss in her mouth for another man's enjoyment. All this stuff, Cassie's husband has to be looking at it like, what the And of course, to her defense, she's probably going to say, I was so high or drunk, I didn't know what was happening, right? Not that I willingly engaged in these weird sexual practices because that's what Diddy liked and that was my man at the time and I was trying to please him. Can't tell your new husband that. So prosecutors allege that Sean Diddy Combs made a male sex worker urinate in Cassie Ventura's mouth during one of the freak-offs. They're saying they have this on video, they playing it. Opening statements in Diddy's trial officially began on Monday, May 12th. Here's the thing, before I get into this detail, right? They don't have anybody else being abused, or none has been shown yet. This is only Cassie that they've seen. Now, like we've said before, Cassie's situation is not what's really on trial. She's just there as a witness for the prosecution, but her case is already settled with Diddy, right? Opening statements in Combs' trial officially began Monday, May 12th. Now, Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson described one alleged incident during a freak-off, one of these prolonged sex parties. I heard that sometimes they had to go get IVs after the party because they were so dehydrated to be drinking and smoking and snorting and doing whatever they do and just sexing and sexing for days, in which Diddy allegedly told a escort to urinate in Cassie's mouth. And Cassie stood there and she took it. And then after which she said, oh, I felt like I was choking. I felt like I was choking, but she was a part of it. She did not say, why'd you do that to me? She did not say, stop, I don't want to do it. She did not say, I don't like this. She did not say, let's do something else. She willingly did it and then casually said, oh, that felt like I was choking. The music mogul is facing sex charges or charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, transporting to engage in prostitution in a September indictment, and he has pled not guilty to all charges. This indictment centers around what prosecutors describe as freak-offs, his sex parties. Funny enough, I remember that interview where Diddy said, they're probably going to arrest me. They're probably going to send me to prison or something like that. He said about his parties. His parties are legendary. The ones that happen after dark. The ones that happen after the after parties. All right. Listen, end of the day, there are people who were around at the time who are signed to Diddy who today do not like him, but are still able to say, you know what? I don't like the guy. I don't like him because he kept our publishing. I don't like him because I think he took advantage of us because we were young and we didn't really know the business side of the music. So he collected all our money while we thought we were getting famous and rich. We were only getting famous. And one of the worst things is to be famous and broke. And he subjected us to that. And for that, we don't like him. However, to say that he forced anybody into these parties, we were around. We saw these parties. We were at some of these parties. No one was forced. Everybody there wanted to be there. They vouch also that Cassie was very much a part of these parties. Cassie was the one who was selected by Diddy to go get people that she liked. Go get the dudes with the biggest dinglings. Go get the dudes who had the most chiseled up bodies. Go get the girls who look like XYZ, the type of girl that you would want to have a threesome with, etc. And she would be active in scouting out talent and bringing them into the game. Ventura, or Cassie, is now set to testify under her own name So she's about to take the stand. Man, listen. She about to take the stand. She's going to testify under her own name, and she was one of several celebrity potential jurors were asked about during the jury selection. Potential jurors were asked about other celebrities, including people like Kanye West, Michael B. Jordan, Mike Myers, and Kid Cudi. Though that does not mean that these people will be called to testify. They probably asked about them because after watching these tapes, they probably did see some interaction with these people and they might end up calling these people in. Or maybe they were just asking the jury and putting names out there to see how they feel about these individuals. Do you have any bias towards Michael B. Jordan? Do you have any bias towards Kid Cudi or Mike Myers? Do you have any bias towards Kanye West, etc.? So if the jury members harbor some kind of preconceived notion or bias, they would usually say, okay, you won't make a good juror because you already think he's guilty anyways, so you won't be listening to what evidence we're able to show you in court and make a decision based on that. Sources have confirmed that Michael B. Jordan will not be called to testify, but his name was mentioned too because he also had a brief flirtatious relationship with Cassie Ventura. She referenced that in her own lawsuit against Sean P. Diddy Combs. I guess she said he got super jealous because she was seeing Michael B. Jordan. Cassie Ventura's 2023 lawsuit against Sean P. Diddy Combs is what actually set off a wave of lawsuits that were filed by dozens of plaintiffs accusing Diddy of abuse. Cassie's lawsuit was settled the day after it was filed, and Diddy has consistently denied all allegations of sexual misconduct with everybody that is involved. Diddy has since his arrest. He now sports a gray head of hair, gray beard, and he is looking at up to life in prison if he is convicted. Now, there was another testimony yesterday. And the other, I know. We're almost at the end. There was another testimony yesterday. And at the official start, um, there was a testimony that Diddy stomped on Cassie's face. They painted a picture of him being a powerful man who was very controlling, and he would coerce the young artist into a complicated and at times violent relationship. Cassie was 19 when their relationship started. Diddy, who is 17 years older than her, and he allegedly promised her stuff like 10 albums. She put her on a 10-album deal. And although she recorded music constantly, he always had the final say on which music she was able to release. So she was getting frustrated in the process. And she's like, man, I think I just did a really good song. Come on, let's release it. And he's like, no, that one's not good enough for release. Let's go for another one and another one and another one. But she was on a 10-album deal, though. 10 albums, you might as well sign your life away. Some of the greatest artists that ever lived never did 10 albums. Unless you're putting out one album per year for 10 years straight, then at least you're indebted to this entity or this man for 10 friggin' years. What started as a professional music relationship apparently quickly devolved. This is what the prosecution said. It said that Cassie began dating Diddy in 2007 and had an on-again, off-again relationship with him for more than a decade. Known for hit tracks like Me and You and the lead single off her self-titled and only studio album, Cassie later sued Diddy, alleging that their professional and romantic relationship quickly changed as he coerced her into sex and then physically beat her. See, the thing about this I don't like is, right, there has to be some level of accountability and responsibility. Cassie she was young, but she wasn't a baby, okay? And she was of legal age regardless. Now, here's the thing. Cassie had a man, and Cassie came to Diddy with her man. And before we knew it, her man that she came with disappeared, and Cassie now belonged to Diddy romantically, which that seemed like he took her away from the man that she was with. So she was disloyal to the dude who she was with because she wanted to get at the head honcho. And she did. She did. And it turned into a relationship that lasted over a decade. A decade is a long time. Whoever was 40 in a decade is 50 when it's done. Whoever was 10 in a decade is 20 when it's done. Who is 20 is 30 when it's done. That's a long ass time. In court on June 12th, Johnson described one instance in 2009 where Diddy allegedly threw Cassie on the floor of an SUV they were riding in, stomped repeatedly on her face, and then forced another escort to urinate in her mouth. Diddy used Cassie for freak-off videos, and then he would use those freak-off videos for blackmail, is what the prosecution is claiming. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Because everybody knew it was being taped. Cassie knew it was taping. Cassie probably went back with Diddy and watched some of them tapes. It lasted for over a decade. So for them to now say, oh, those were videos that were used to blackmail her. The prosecution said in court that Cassie entered her first freak-off reluctantly. Whatever the hell reluctantly means. Reluctantly. But she loved Diddy and she wanted to make him happy. Okay, guess what? That's going to work to his favor. She loved him. She wanted to make him happy. So she did friggin' threesomes, freak-offs, whatever it was he was into. When did that become a crime? Sometimes they said that the freak-offs would last days long. Sexual performance that he is accused of holding these parties that involved illicit substances and commercial sex workers. I know a lot of us out here are thinking, how the hell you go for days long? Well, there were drugs involved. Lots of drugs, lots of different types of drugs, ketamine, cocaine, you name it. The drugs that make you go long, right? And make you stay awake. They have one for your tilly to get hard, one for your brain to stay awake, one for your... Man, listen, what type of a life that was. They then described another incident where, he dragged Cassie by her hair and just basically painting this whole situation as Diddy started out having Cassie as an artist, and then she ended up becoming his number one freak-off girl. Combs had power over Cassie's career and her livelihood, and then he would threaten to release videos of her with dozens and dozens of male escorts, Johnson said. He had the power to ruin her life. For Cassie, the videos are souvenirs of the most humiliating nights of her life. Her livelihood and safety depended on keeping the defendant happy, Johnson said. This is prosecution talking. The prosecution said that Diddy and Cassie were unfaithful and they were jealous. Both of them were unfaithful and they were jealous, and she was in love with him, but only one of them had power, and that was him. This argument may factor heavily into the trial, as the defense is expected to paint Cassie as equally violent against Sean P. Diddy Combs. I can't imagine my witnesses. Listen, in this court case, right? Diddy's kids are there. All his children are there, the twins, his girls, his daughters, his sons, his wife, not his wife, his mama, everybody is there. Could you imagine his mom and these videos are being played, peeing in the mouth, and multiple male sex workers and female sex workers, and wanting to see multiple men flip your girl this way and that way? Could you imagine what's going through his children's mind and his mother's mind as they are witnessing all this in court. And this is outside of him being guilty or innocent of what they are accusing him of. This is just the embarrassment of having to sit there and your children. I mean, come on. Grown people do freaky shit in their bedrooms all the time. You don't introduce it to your children, though. So in his case, his children are seeing all of this. In the defense team's opening statement, Diddy's lawyers started out with Tenny Geragos, and Tenny Geragos argued that Cassie became jealous when she realized that she would never be Diddy's wife. This is when the true jealousy started. And I've said this before, Cassie wanted to be that number one girl on Diddy's arm. She wanted to be the wife of the mogul. She wanted to have babies for Diddy. She wanted a family. Yeah, we started out doing music, but it matured into the relationship where I'm his ride or die. And instead, he had her as his sex toy while he went on to have meaningful relationships with other women, even while still being with her. And this made Cassie very bitter. So she is not getting to be famous by her music that she originally went into this for, and she is not getting to be the wife to the man that she has fallen in love with, only to be used to be sexed by many different men in front of him for his own enjoyment, even requesting that some of them pee in her mouth. How humiliating. But she did it willingly anyways. Diddy's attorney says regret does not mean coerced. She did some things for a man that she loved, and she regrets it now that she's older. But it doesn't mean she was coerced into doing it. Geragos, Diddy's attorney, said attempting to poke holes in one of the prosecution's signature arguments, said that every woman in this case had what is called free choice. Every one of them had free choice, and argued that the freak off videos, those were meant to be intimate, and those were not intended to be seen by people outside of that room. Garagos, who is Diddy's attorney, also said that the case is about his private sex life, and admitted that he has sometimes been violent. Sean Diddy Combs has a temper, he said. My client is not proud of that, but he admits to it. Cassie's husband, Alex Fine, was spotted at the courthouse during the first day of the opening arguments. Cassie's now husband, who wed Cassie Ventura in 2019, shares 2 children with the singer and actually has a third one on the way. So we're talking about a woman who is going to get a lot of sympathy in court right now because she is also actually pregnant right now. He is presumably there for support of his pregnant wife, who will serve as one of the prosecution's key witnesses. Again, I saw him walk out of the courtroom, and it's sad. He looks mad as hell, finding out about her getting peed on and pee in her mouth and all that. In response, the team argued that Diddy was not trying to obstruct justice, but rather he was trying to protect both him and Cassie from bad publicity, and that's why he gave the money to the security guard at the hotel and told them, don't let this get out. So it wasn't about obstructing justice, it was about protecting both of them. Describing one violent episode where he broke into the house of a man who was seeing Cassie with a gun and a bodyguard. I mean, this shit is getting out of control. The prosecution went on to describe one violent episode. Johnson said that Diddy broke into a house of a man who was seeing Cassie Ventura with a gun and a bodyguard with the intent to kill. While no one was home, Diddy later found Ventura and he beat her brutally, flinging her around like a rag doll, she argued. Okay, that's an accusation that they're going to have to back up What house did he break into? Was there a security system at the house? Was he seen in the house on video? If all of this stuff could be backed up by at least a video footage of him breaking into the people's house and all that, or another beating, then he's in up to his neck and he won't be able to get out of it. But for now, they're making these accusations, but they're not showing any proof yet. Now, we all know, like we said before, that Cassie's case was the one. I bet right now Diddy thinks, damn, I should have just paid this girl. I should have just gave her whatever money she asked for. My life would still be good right now. I'm on the billionaires list. I'm flying private jets. I'm doing my Diddy dance on a tarmac before I board my private jet to Tahiti. I'm living my life. I got lots of money in the bank. I got multiple mansions worth over 50 million apiece. And look at me now. I'm in a damn jail cell fighting for my life, facing life in prison. All because she asked for money and I said, you're not getting no money. And now this. I bet he wish he had paid up. But watch this. We're going to continue to watch this, see how it goes. So what I want you to do is, this is all that happened in the first day, y'all. And we got many more days of this to go. Stay tuned to the channel. Hit the subscribe button, because we're going to be watching on behalf of you, and we're going to be compiling the information and bringing it to you right here on SoFlo TV. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on SoFlo TV. I'll catch you on the next video. Stay tuned. I'm out. Peace.